Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me? Good morning. Good morning, Yor. Good morning, Ash. Good morning, Renko. Good morning, Other Ed. Good morning, Vim. Thank you for the sub, Michael. Scoops. Good morning, Coot. Good morning, Canary. Ship. Good morning, Shipper. Hello. Good morning. Today, we are here to continue our daytime television from many moons ago. Oscar Wilde style daytime television. Good morning, bird. Have I gotten good rest from last time? Well, we shall see. Hopefully, we can make it through without too much strife. Dorian Gray is fruity. He is fairly fruity. Oh, good morning, Maura. Welcome. Oh dear. Golly. Let's shimmy over to the... Hi, I am probably... Oops, there we go. Good morning, Key. Here we are. Let us grab our book. Okie doke. So, back on our Dorian Gray reading horse. Let's recap what happened last time, which was chapter 12. Chapter 12 is where we left off last time, I do believe. And so Dorian Gray, about 10 years have passed. Dorian Gray is now almost 38. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Dorian Gray is now 38, but apparently he's not really changed at all. He is coming back from the club some late night and he runs into his old friend, Basil Hallward, who is the painter who made his cursed portrait. And Basil comes in and says to Dorian, "People are saying some shady things about you." Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. He's just like, people are really saying terrible things about you. And yeah, so Basil, I think, has a way of being a moral compass to Dorian that Dorian is not very receptive of. If the way they talked about Sybil Vane is any indication. Yeah, people talking mad smack about you. And it's like quite awful stuff, Dorian. So, upon Basil confronting Dorian with this talk of smack, he is like, "I should have to see your soul." Okay, so this is Basil Hallward being quoted, but "I should have to see your soul." And Dorian Gray, who has to see his soul every now and then and knows it's quite ugly, is very afraid. He turns white from fear. And Basil Hallward is like, "Oh yes, but of course only God can see your soul." And then Dorian Gray is like, "Ha ha ha, if only you knew. I will show you. I will show you what my soul looks like if you so insist." And so that's where we are at the moment in the story. So Dorian Gray is about to confess his biggest secret to Basil Hallward, and is taking him up to his locked room where he keeps the painting of doom. Okay. Every now and then I may have to stop, but please do not mind that. Let's play something kind of spooky to match our spooky late night soul witnessing, whatever it is that Basil Hallward is attempting to do. Slightly spooky. Alrighty, shall we? So we are now on to chapter 13. He passed out of the room and began the ascent, Basil Hallward following close behind. They walked softly, as men do instinctively at night. The lamp cast fantastic shadows on the wall and staircase. The rising wind made some of the windows rattle. When they reached the top landing, Dorian set the lamp down on the floor and, taking out the key, turned it in the lock. "You insist on knowing, Basil?" he asked in a low voice. "Yes." "I'm delighted," he answered, smiling. Then he added, somewhat harshly, "You are the one man in the world who is entitled to know everything about me. You've had more to do with my life than you think." And, taking up the lamp, he opened the door and went in. A cold current of air passed them, and the light shot up for a moment in a flame of murky orange. He shuddered. "Shut the door behind you," he whispered as he placed the lamp on the table. Forward glanced round with a puzzled expression. The room looked as if it had not been lived in for years. A faded Flemish tapestry, a curtained picture, an almost empty bookcase. That's all that seemed to contain, beside the chair and a table. As Dorian Gray was lighting a half-burned candle that was standing on the mantel shelf, he saw that the whole place was covered with dust, and that the carpet was in holes. A mouse ran scuffling behind the wainscoting. There was a damp odor of mildew. "So, you think that it is only God who sees the soul, Basil? Draw that curtain back, and you will see mine." The voice that spoke was cold and cruel. "You are mad, Dorian. You're playing a part?" muttered Hallward, frowning. "You won't? Then I must do it myself," said the young man, and he tore the curtain from its rod and flung it on the ground. An exclamation of horror broke from the painter's lips as he saw in the dim light the hideous face on the canvas grinning at him. There was something in its expression that filled him with disgust and loathing. Good heavens! It was Dorian Gray's own face that he was looking at. The horror, whatever it was, had not yet entirely spoiled that marvelous beauty. There was still some gold in the thinning hair, some scarlet on the sensual mouth. The sodden eyes had kept something of the loveliness of their blue. The noble curves had not yet completely passed away from chiseled nostrils and from plastic throat. Yes, it was Dorian himself. But who had done it? He seemed to recognize his own brushwork, and the frame was his own design. The idea was monstrous. Yet, he felt afraid. He seized the lighted candle and held it to the picture. In the left-hand corner was his own name, traced in long letters of bright vermilion. It was some foul parody, some infamous, ignoble satire. He had never done that. Still, it was his own picture. He knew it, and he felt as if his blood had changed in a moment from fire to sluggish ice. His own picture. What did it mean? Why had it altered? He turned and looked at Dorian Gray with the eyes of a sick man. His mouth twitched, and his parched tongue seemed unable to articulate. He passed his hand across his forehead, stank with clammy sweat. The young man was leaning against the mantel shelf, watching him, with that strange expression that one sees on the faces of those who are absorbed in a play when some great artist is acting. There was neither real sorrow in it, nor real joy. There was simply the passion of the spectator, with perhaps a flicker of triumph in his eyes. He had taken the flower out of his coat, and was smelling it, or pretending to do so. "What does this mean?" cried Hallward at last. His own voice sounded shrill and curious in his ears.
"Years ago, when I was a boy,"
said Dorian Gray, crushing the flower in his hand,
"you met me, flattered me, and taught me to be vain of my good looks. One day you introduced to me a friend of yours, who explained to me the wonder of youth, and you finished a portrait of me that revealed to me the wonder of beauty. And in a mad moment that even now, I don't know whether I regret or not, I made a wish. Perhaps you would call it a prayer."
"I remember it. Oh, how well I remember it." "No, the thing is impossible. The room is damp. Mildew has got into the canvas. The paints I used had some wretched mineral poison in them. I tell you, the thing is impossible."
What is impossible?"
murmured the young man, going over to the window and leaning his forehead against the cold, mist-stained glass.
"You told me you destroyed it." "I was wrong. It has destroyed me."
"I don't believe it is my picture."
"Can't you see your ideal in it?"
said Dorian, bitterly.
My ideal, as you call it. As you called it.
There was nothing evil in it. Nothing shameful. You were to me such an ideal as I shall never meet again. This is the face of a satyr.
It is the face of my soul.
Christ, what a thing I must have worshipped. It has the eyes of a devil.
Each of us has heaven and hell in him, Basil,
cried Dorian, with a wild gesture of despair. Hallward turned again to the portrait and gazed at it. My God, if it is true, he exclaimed, and this is what you have done with your life, why, you must be worse than even those who talk against you fancy you to be. He held the light up again to the canvas and examined it. The surface seemed to be quite undisturbed, and, as he had left it, it was from within, apparently, that the foulness and horror had come. Through some strange quickening of inner life, the leprosies of sin were slowly eating the thing away. The rotting of a corpse in a watery grave was not so fearful. His hand shook, and the candle fell from its socket onto the floor and lay there sputtering. He placed his foot on it and put it out. Then he flung himself into the rickety chair that was standing by the table and buried his face in his hands. Good God, Dorian, what a lesson. What an awful lesson. There was no answer, but he could hear the young man sobbing at the window. Pray, Dorian. Pray, he murmured. What is it that one was taught to say in one's boyhood? Lead us not into temptation. Forgive us our sins. Wash away our iniquities. Let us say that together. The prayer of your pride has been answered. The prayer of your repentance will be answered also. I worshipped you too much. I am punished for it. You worshipped yourself too much. We are both punished. Dorian Gray turned slowly around and looked at him with tear-dimmed eyes. It is too late, Basil, he faltered. It is never too late, Dorian. Let us kneel down and try, if we cannot remember a prayer. Isn't there a verse somewhere? Though your sins be as scarlet, yet I will make them as white as snow. Those words mean nothing to me now. Hush, don't say that. You have done enough evil in your life. My God, don't you see that accursed thing leering at us? Dorian Gray glanced at the picture. And suddenly, an uncontrollable feeling of hatred for Basil Hallward came over him, as though it had been suggested to him by the image on the canvas, whispered into his ear by those grinning lips. The mad passions of a hunted animal stirred within him, and he loathed the man who seated at the table more than in his whole life he had ever loathed anything. He glanced wildly around. Something glimmered on the top of the painted chest that faced him. His eye fell on it. He knew what it was. It was a knife that he had brought up some days before to cut a piece of cord and had forgotten to take away with him. He moved slowly towards it, passing Hallward as he did so. As soon as he got behind him, he seized it and turned round. Hallward stirred in his chair as if he was going to rise. He rushed at him and dug the knife into the great vein that is behind the ear, crushing the man's head down onto the table and stabbing again and again. There was a stifled groan and the horrible sound of someone choking with blood. 3 times the outstretched arms shot up convulsively, waving grotesque, stiff-fingered hands in the air. He stabbed him twice more, but the man did not move. Something began to trickle onto the floor. He waited for a moment, still pressing the head down. Then he threw the knife onto the table and listened. He could hear nothing but the drip, drip on the threadbare carpet. He opened the door and went out onto the landing,
The house was absolutely quiet. No one was about. For a few seconds, he stood bending over the balustrade and peering down into the black, seething well of darkness. Then he took out the key and returned to the room, locking himself in as he did so. The thing was still seated in the chair, straining over the table with bowed head and humped back and long fantastic arms. Had it not been for the red jagged tear in the neck and the clotted black pool that was slowly widening on the table, one would have said that the man was simply asleep. How quickly it had all been done. He felt strangely calm, and walking over to the window opened it and stepped out onto the balcony. The wind had blown the fog away, and the sky was like a monstrous peacock's tail, starred with myriads of golden eyes. He looked down and saw the policeman going his rounds and flashing the long beam of his lantern on the doors of the silent houses. The crimson spot of a prowling hansom gleamed at the corner and then vanished. A woman in a fluttering shawl was creeping slowly by the railings, staggering as she went. Now and then, she stopped and peered back. Once, she began to sing in a hoarse voice. The policeman strolled over and said something to her. She stumbled away, laughing. A bitter blast swept across the square. He shivered and went back, closing the window behind him. Having reached the door, he turned the key and opened it. He did not even glance at the murdered man. He felt that the secret of the whole thing was not to realize the situation. The friend who had painted the fatal portrait, to which all his mystery had been due, had gone out of his life. That was enough. Then he remembered the lamp. Perhaps it might be missed by his servant, and questions would be asked. He hesitated for a moment, then he turned back and took it from the table. He could not help seeing the dead thing. How still it was. How horribly white the long hands looked. It was like a dreadful wax image. Having locked the door behind him, he crept quietly downstairs. The woodwork creaked and seemed to cry out as if in pain. He stopped several times and waited. No. Everything was still. It was merely the sound of his own footsteps. When he reached the library, he saw the bag and coat in the corner. They must be hidden away somewhere. He unlocked a secret press that was in the wainscoting, a press in which he kept his own curious disguises and put them into it. He could easily burn them afterwards. Then he pulled out his watch. It was 20 minutes to 2. He sat down and began to think. Every year, every month, almost, men were strangled in England for what he had done. There had been a madness of murder in the air. Some red star had come too close to the earth, and yet... what evidence was there against him? Basil Hallward had left the house at 11. No one had seen him come in again. Most of the servants were at Selby Royal. His valet had gone to bed. Paris. Yes, it was to Paris that Basil had gone, and by the midnight train as he had intended. With his curious, reserved habits,
it would be months before any suspicions would be roused. Months. Everything could be destroyed. Long before then. A sudden thought struck him. He put on his fur coat and hat and went out into the hall. There he paused, hearing the slow, heavy tread of the policeman on the pavement outside, seeing the flash of the bullseye reflected in the window. He waited, held his breath. After a few moments, he drew back the latch and slipped out, shutting the door very gently behind him. Then he began ringing the bell. In about 5 minutes, his valet appeared, half-dressed and looking very drowsy.
"I'm sorry to have to wake you up, Francis,"
he said, stepping in.
"But I'd forgotten my latchkey. What time is it?"
10 minutes past 2, sir," answered the man, looking at the clock and blinking.
10 minutes past 2? How horribly late. You must wake me at 9 tomorrow. I have some work to do. All right, sir. Did anyone call this evening? Mr. Hallward, sir. He stayed here till 11, and then he went away to catch his train. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't see him. Did he leave any message? No, sir, except that he would write to you from Paris if he did not find you at the club. That will do, Francis. Don't forget to call me at 9 tomorrow. No, sir.
The man shambled down the passage in his slippers. Dorian Gray threw his hat and coat upon the table and passed into the library. For a quarter of an hour he walked up and down the room, biting his lip and thinking. Then he took down the blue book from one of the shelves and began to turn over the leaves. Alan Campbell, 152, Hertford Street, Mayfair. Yes, that was the man he wanted. And that is the end of chapter 13. So, basically the summary of that chapter is that after taking Basil Hallward up to see the dreaded painting, Basil Hallward, of course, is like, my goodness, Dorian, if this is a reflection of your soul, then your soul is more rotten than I thought it was. And Dorian Gray is like, wow, I guess I hate you too. And so he grabs his knife and knifes him in the back of the neck. Like, in the neck. Like, he doesn't even knife him in the back or in the side or in the chest. He goes straight for the neck. Wowie. Dorian Gray. Quite the character. But yes, so he kills Basil Hallward and leaves him bleeding at the table. And then he looks outside and waits until the policemen are gone. And then he decides that since no one saw Basil Hallward come back into the house, that he would pretend to just have been gone this entire time. And so he puts on his coat again, and then, pretending to come back, and locking himself out, he grabs his valet, and is like, oh, well, did someone call for me? And the valet, of course, is like, Basil Hallward came for you, but he went away to go catch a train. And so Dorian Gray is like, oh, okay, cool. Well, if he says anything, tell me, which he won't. And then he grabs Yeah, so he hides Basil Hallward's stuff in a little, so the wainscoting, there's a little drawer, I imagine, some kind of wooden drawer that pops out from the wainscoting. And it says he hides his disguises there. I suppose when you live a life like Dorian where your appearance doesn't change, you probably need to have a disguise or two. Don't know how good they are, but... So he's hiding Basil Hallward's stuff. And he goes to call someone. Oh, thank you for the dono, Ash. Please keep your money. please keep your money. He has truly fallen to the dark side now. If his portrait was any indication, though, Dorian Gray has long since fallen to the dark side. Oh, Basil Hallward took a look at the face. What I feel really sad about when it comes to Basil Hallward is that Basil Hallward is always trying to redeem Dorian, even upon seeing Dorian's soul as this horrible, twisted, wicked-looking old man. He's like, we have both sinned. We have both sinned. I'll pray with you. Let's pray together, Dorian. And instead of thinking that he can be redeemed with him, Dorian Gray is like, I'll just kill him. It's like, I'll just kill Basil. Bye. It's really quite something. What a drum. Anyway, so he calls someone called Alan Kemp. Oh, Canary, thank you for the dono. Why do you guys keep giving me money? Thank you. Anyway, I'm sure for the astute who are like, oh, well, Dorian Gray has just murdered someone, he's going to call someone. I'm pretty sure you can imagine what Alan Campbell is being called for. Cleanup crew. But otherwise, let's perhaps get on to that chapter next time. I will save that for... Oops, there goes the chat. Thank you for... Oh. Ash, why do you keep giving me money? Bun grabs, Ash. But I'm sure Basil's soul appreciates the message, and oh, what should I do? Hold on. What should I do? Let's crawl over to the wheel of I can't keep up. Guys, what are we doing? What am I gonna do here? Anyway, Dorian Gray is an exciting story. What will it be? Okay. How many spins have we got lying about? I'm pretty sure, there's many an outstanding prize, but let's just do a couple of spins, because otherwise you guys might never get your spins, and then you won't be able to claim your prizes. So I hope that despite the lack of fanfare, you won't mind if I spin a little for you now. Oh dear. Is Ash still here? Actually, was Ash ever here? Since Canary's here, let's do a couple of Canary spins. questioning Ash existence. Of course. Click, click, click. One spin for you. Bun legs. Spin 2. Nice bun. Oh, okay. Ash is kinda here. Okay. Well, we can spin for you if you want, but... Nice words for... Nice words for... I'm still holding my book. Nice words for... Canary? Well, if you like, you can have your nice words from... let's see. You can have your nice words from the legs instead. Bun legs. Literal bun legs. I didn't pre-write anything, although I should have. I absolutely should have. Oh, tisk. Tisk. Okay. A nice word from Edu to Canary. You're one of the most committed bun followers that I have. I think that knowing your time zone is extremely disagreeable makes your dedication to coming to my streams that much more moving. But that said, you know that I would rather you get some rest and be in good health rather than feeling obliged to show it my every stream. So I'm always hoping for your good health and happiness. Thank you for coming and watching and supporting me. That's it. That's the end of the that's the end of the nice word. Jesus. Well, that's it. That's it. The bun legs have spoken. Oh. Who else are we spinning for today? I don't know if Debut is around. Don't know if Ash wants to do the spins. Ash has a few spins on log. Chug back to the wheel. But if that is us for today, you wanna do them? You wanna do them now? There's 6. It's probably more than that actually, but I have 6 logged. So 6 spins for Ash. Let's go. Let's do it. Spin 2. Again. Oh. Fun trivia. Fun truth. Super nice bun. I never said that. Oh, bun trivia times 2. Seems like 5 evil bun. Ash needs some more luck. Needs some better RNG. Last spin. Oh come on. Oh come on. Who needs 3 bun trivias? Wow. I mean, even I thought that he would get it this time. It's like, oh, there's definitely a head pat on the horizon, but well, it seems like there's no head pat for it. Oh, thank you for the bun villain face, Redeem. Why are you always looking for the bun evil face? Okay. Since let's see. Bun evil face. Makes us feel things, makes you feel fear. Yes, well, perhaps you should be feeling the fear. No. Guess we can say a nice thing first. So a nice word from Bun to Ash. I see you a lot. I see you a lot. And I think that you are also one of the more dedicated Bun followers. I know that things have been difficult for you as well, as it is for a great many people in this day and age. I think more than anything, you know, I would like to hear that you are doing great and living well. More than I care about more than I care about receiving your money or receiving your many secret donations. I see them coming in. I appreciate it, of course I do. But I would never ask for that sort of thing. I hope that you don't feel pressured to do. No pressure. It is appreciated, but nonetheless, as nice as I find it, I don't need that from you in order to feel glad to have you around. What's another nice thing I can say? Ice cream. No. We'll have ice cream another time. Anyway, thank you for supporting me. I'm bad with words. Evil on. That's very sweet. Take away my nice word and return to my face of evil. Let's see. Ah. I owe you some bun trivia. That's okay. I'm not mad. You can have the ice cream. You can have it. Says my evil face. So dark. So spook. Bun trivia. What's bun trivia that I haven't? Oh, let's see if I have anything written down. I think I'm running out of bun trivias to talk about. Oh, there's a story here. It says, I remember. Once upon a time, quite a long time ago, when I was going to a convention in Auckland with my friends, we had dinner at like this fancy, basically a fancy food court restaurant called Staples, and I had Italian. I think just to even surprise myself, I bought like this plate of seafood pasta, and it's probably one of the best plates of pasta that I've eaten in my life, and sometimes I still think about it. Sometimes I still think about that pasta. But occasionally I think you do eat a good thing that that you hope to have again. Surprise. I've always liked pasta, but yes, I was caught quite by surprise. I'm pretty sure that there's some other food items that I've eaten in my life that I think about like every now and then. Unnecessary bun trivia. What else? What else is written? Once upon a time, quite a while ago now, I was picking up my sister at school at like a super early hour, and I came across a little girl while I was on my way, and she must have been about maybe 6 or 7, and she was hanging about the courtyard. I'm pretty sure she must have been like waiting for one of her parents. But she took a look at me, and then she just came over and said, "You're really pretty." That was the only thing she said to me. But it is probably the only compliment about my looks that I've ever like taken seriously. It was said so benignly that I think about those words every now and then. I don't often listen to compliments about my looks, and I hesitate to compliment people about their looks as well, because I feel like when I do it, I feel quite fake, mostly because I also so it's difficult for me to take that kind of compliment on board, and I will avoid it, because when people say it to me, I tend to tune it out. I tend to just not hear it. And as grateful as I feel for the sentiment, you know. What a powerful kid. It was very innocent. I do believe that. I do believe her words, because yeah, no. She just came out and said it. If the kid tells you you're ugly. Maybe that kid could have run up to me and told me that I was ugly. Maybe I would have believed her. But that's fine. I think it was nice of her to do. In an ideal world, I think that I would also, you know, when I give people a compliment, I like to think that I mean it. I mean, I don't generally say things that I don't mean, but in general, if I want to give someone a compliment, I would hope to give one that they would take on board earnestly. But the world is not so kind. People's minds are also not so kind, and I know that very well. So, even if I do say something intended to be a compliment, if someone doesn't believe me, then just I get it. Thank you, says evil-faced Bun. Oh. I'm crusty fossil. Despite what I just said, remember that I'm also an evil bun So, you should always be on your toes. Some of the stuff I say, you should take with a grain of salt, for sure. Case of that. It's hard to strike the balance. If I say something to you that's kind, part of me wants you to just take that as it is. But coming from me as well, who is just a voice on the internet, I hope that you will doubt some of the things that I say. Doubt me as well. You never know. It's not a bad thing for you to doubt me as well. Anyway, bun trivia. I think I have to drum up one more bun trivia. You know, there was this one time. I'm not sure if I think I might have already talked about this. But my mother came to stay for a little while, and I was still living down the road that way. And I wasn't able to drive at the time. At the very least, driving was something that I found quite difficult. And so my mother was helping me, and so she would sometimes do the driving. And we were going out to a weekend market. And so my mother drives a European car, and I've driven it, and it is a gremlin of a car. It's a nightmare of a car, actually. I think it's incredible. It's not the best to drive. I think it takes a while to get used to, but the indicators are swapped. And so when my mother comes to drive my car, she often ends up using the wipers when trying to indicate and stuff like that. And it takes her a little while to just readjust and find her way again. But anyway, we were turning onto the main road, and she wipered her indicator, and the guy who came up behind us, he beeped super loud, and he got really angry. But neither of us realized just how angry he was, because he followed us all the way to the market. And then as soon as we parked, he got out of his truck, and then he marched over to the car to yell at us. And so I was shocked. We were both quite shocked, because he drove for 15 minutes to follow us to this market, even though we're pretty sure he was not headed here. But, you know, road rage. And so he opens the door to our car, and he starts yelling at us. He would be mad because we turned in front of him without apparently indicating. You know, generally not that safe driving, but at the same time, most people wouldn't get this angry about stuff like that, you know? And it was an innocent mistake, of course. No one was harmed, but nonetheless, he tailed us all the way to the market, and he drove behind us, and then he opened the door to our car, and then he reached in and he took my keys. He reached into the car and he took my keys, and he drove away with my keys. And just thinking about it gives me this massive headache. But he was like, "I'm taking your keys, and you can collect them from the police station." And
I was flabbergasted. I was like, what? Like he just, like, not only did he open the door to the car, not with our consent, he reached in and took the keys without consent, obviously. And then he just drove away with them. And then apparently he went to the police station. Like, I believed him when he said he was going to take the keys to the police station, but I was like, what is this achieving? What? What? Mm-hmm. And so I called the police. And, just, yeah, no, I had to, I guess to say that this is something that happened, but then also give them warning that a guy would probably come in to turn in this set of keys belonging to someone he thinks doesn't deserve to drive. And yeah, no, obviously what he did was highly inappropriate and not very within the law, although I think he felt more than within reason to take our keys. No one has the right to do stuff like that. Yeah, no, it was quite frightening. Like he was very angry about it. It was a high key case of road rage, but less rage and more just seething anger. And so I had to call upon some help to drive us back into town to the police station to get this set of keys that had been dobbed in by this guy. And apparently, he had some other cases of like road rage on his file. I think that when I asked the policeman, he said this person has some anger issues. I was like, oh yes, not surprised, but it was very upsetting. It was very upsetting, of course. It was also a high-key waste of an entire morning. But fortunately, we did have a hand driving for the 20 minutes to get to the police station, and then driving back, having that person to drive us to and from the police station to get the keys so that we could get the car, and then what a day. Anyway, that's something that happened. It's quite scary, I think, being confronted by someone like that. I remember when I first started living alone, and I moved down here. I would always lock the car whenever I was just in it, because my mother's had some bad experiences. Back when she lived in Auckland, she also was just mugged in a supermarket. Well, yeah, no, kind of. She got into the car after like a supermarket visit, and as soon as she like sat inside and put down her stuff, someone just opened the door on the other side and reached and grabbed her stuff and ran. And she was just, it was such a, oh dear, my poor mother. But I think it's a good habit to get into. Even though I live in New Zealand, which I think is comparatively a safe place to be, there's still all sorts of people out there. So everyone be careful. Yeah, I mean, she came to no harm, but she had a lot of regrets because she was like, if I had only locked the door or stuff like that, and she had gone to get out some money, which is why I think she'd been targeted. So they took all of the cash that she got out. But Other than that nut job who followed us and took my keys, I haven't had any encounters like that here in Christchurch. Goodness. Anyway, Bun Trivia puts on my evil face and talks about some of the interesting people that I've met. Scoops. Anyway, quite enough of that. Oops. Bun's still too big. Well, yet another story told from my actual life. I don't know if that last one was a very enjoyable piece of trivia, but nothing's more exciting than real life, I suppose. Shippa, Story Bun delivering the stories. You'd be surprised. I can tell some pretty wild stories about stuff that's actually happened to me. But see you next week, maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry that I have not been able to show up more often. I've sort of been towing the end of a hiatus for so long that I haven't made a schedule or anything in a really long time. And oh, don't be sad. Sometimes I have to go after all. If there's anything that I can say, it's that I hope you know that I enjoy spending time with you guys, and that when I can, I do like to show up, even if it's unplanned, even if it's just like this. But you know, time is against me as well. Time and various things, and sometimes I do want to call a more permanent hiatus, but whenever I think about just being able to show up and say hello, I still think that I should, and still think that I would like to. So even if they end up being quite sporadic, I'll still try to show my face. Oh, awaiting your next visit as well. Oh, thank you for the Bun Drink Water redeem, bird. You're always redeeming Bun Evil Face. I wonder what it is about it that's so interesting. But thank you always for coming. Thank you always for spending your time with Bun. Unfortunately today, we're still not able to do all of my outstanding debut spins, but sometime. You seem really fervent about getting the ice cream. Perhaps I'll buy you some next time. Oh, thank you. You don't have to be, but I'm happy when you are. Doodle redeems, maybe. We'll see. I don't have a lot to give. But for now it's been another not very productive Dorian Gray reading stream. I hope to see you guys again. Thank you.
Maybe someday I'll explain. Maybe someday I'll explain. But until then, always nice to catch up as well. Thank you for coming on and spending time with Grass Growing Bun. Yes, you stay safe and healthy as well. For now, I will crawl into my coffin and see you soon. Wish you all a good night. Good night, good night. Thank you for today.